Peace. This is Wise for Wise Words Media. Back at y'all for another round. And fight fans, the WBC is now ordering a fight between Shakur Stevenson and Frank the Ghost Martin. This fight has been ordered between these two by the WBC because, as Mauricio Suleiman explained in a recent interview, the WBC tried to get a title eliminator fight between Shakur Stevenson and Pitbull Cruz. But Pitbull Cruz declined that. He did not want that fight. So now, with talks of Devin Haney moving up to 140 and having to maybe leave the belts behind, the WBC made Devin Haney a champion in recess, meaning that he's practically stripped from these belts, from that belt, the WBC title, as he makes his 140 debut. And then after that fight, he has the option to come back down and fight the winner of Shakur Stevenson versus Frank the Ghost Martin. Because the fight that they actually wanted to have for the vacant title was Shakur Stevenson versus Vasily Lomachenko. But Lomachenko all of a sudden needs time off and he doesn't want to fight Shakur Stevenson. Turns that fight down. So now we're getting what's going to be a very exciting fight between Shakur Stevenson and Frank the Ghost Martin. The backstory behind this fight is also interesting because we're coming off the heels of Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence, and Terrence Crawford beating Errol Spence. And this fight coming up between Shakur and Frank Martin, Shakur is a protege of Terrence Crawford, and Frank Martin is a protege of Errol Spence. So this is kind of like Crawford Spence vicariously, right? It's like Crawford Spence Part 2, kind of. So this fight has been ordered, and I also, you know, I think before I go to that point, I also think this fight is going to be very entertaining. This is another huge fight coming up towards the end of this year. They're most likely going to go into purse bid, which means purse bid is like an auction where you have different promoters that will, you know, being that you got Shakur, Top Rank, you got Showtime, Frank Martin, the Zone might throw their name in the hat. So this fight is going to most likely go to purse bid, where it's like an auction. They bid for the rights to this fight, and the fight will go to the highest bidder. So Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin is an exciting fight. This is a very big fight. We've seen both men come off recent victories. Frank Martin didn't look as impressive in this last fight as he has in times past, but he did get the job done. Knocked out the opponent, and, you know, cemented his way into this position, because the WBC had their top 4 ranked. Number 1 was Shakur, or actually they flipped the order for some weird reason. They gave Vasily Lomachenko number 1 rank, the number 1 contender for Devin Haney's title. They had Shakur, who was number 1, they bumped him to number 2. Then you had number 3, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, and then you had number 4, Frank Martin. So the WBC tried to make the fight between the number 1 and number 2 for this now vacant belt, and Shakur said he wanted the fight. In fact, he went to social media and antagonized Lomachenko and said, hey, you know, I used to look up to you, I respected you. Now I look at you completely different because you're backing out of a fight with a big opportunity. Didn't you want this belt? And Lomachenko is taking the back door. He said, you know what? I need time off. Doesn't want to fight Shakur. So now, since Shakur's number 2, the number 1 contender doesn't want to fight him. The number 3 contender, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, for a long time has making it very clear, ever since last year, since the WBC convention, he's made it very clear that he doesn't want the Shakur Stevenson fight right now. So that fight got scratched. So now the next man up, Frank Martin, at number 4 in the WBC's ranking. So this should be a very exciting fight. Once again, you know that Crawford and Spence are both going to be in attendance, which is going to make an interesting caveat to this fight. And, you know, protege against protege. So we'll see. I'll continue to follow up on this fight. Also, because Devin Haney is the champion in recess, that means that after his 140 fight, should he choose to come back to 135, he is the automatic number 1 contender for this vacant lightweight title. So he would get the winner of the Shakur Stevenson Frank Martin fight should he decide to come back to the lightweight division. So I'll continue to follow this. I'll report as I hear. I'm Wise for Wise Words Media. Peace.